Hi, Gino Borges here, reporting from Austin, Nevada, about 3 hours east of Reno, Nevada, on Highway 50. I'm about 20 miles south of Highway 50 in a wide open space, in a nice little basin, and really right in the heart of what we call the Great Basin, which is one of the more popular deserts, or I should say least popular deserts, because it doesn't have a whole lot of tour groups that actually come through here, but most popular for people who enjoy rawness, the extreme wide open space, and the desolate type of nature to the experience out here. I'm coming off that's basically about a 6-week whirlwind tour of watching the San Francisco Giants win the World Series. Been in the Bay Area for the past 6 weeks and am retreating out to the desert to sort of make sense of a lot of ideas I've been thinking about. But one of the things that sort of gets me about modern life is this. I keep asking myself, what is real actually? What is actually real? And I want to propose one question. Were the San Francisco Giants really in the World Series? When I look at my experience, I watched them on TV. I watched them with friends. I was watching images on TV, and when I wasn't watching images on TV, I was listening to the radio, KNBR 680. And I have not been to a physical baseball game, since the middle of the season. Ever since the middle of the season, and they weren't even in first place in the National League West at this particular period of time. They were in second or third place. But ever since that moment, I've been receiving the story of the Giants via imagery. And I've been caught in the drama based on the imagery that I was receiving, whether it was on TV, whether it was listening to the radio and me creating my own imagery. And and I was so excited during this whole process, and still am. I still can't believe they won. But after Game 5, when they won the World Series there in Texas and were celebrating, and I was sitting at a brew pub in Fairfax, and everybody was roaring, including myself, doing a little dance. On the walk home, I had this idea that popped into my head. I asked myself, I really don't know if there was an actual World Series or an actual team actually playing. Now, just think about this philosophically. You have an actual referent in life, the actual physicality, and then you have the representation of the referent, which is the symbolization of the referent. And for the most part, all I have been receiving is a diet of symbols, and the symbols I conflate for the referent. Now you might ask, so what? So what, Gino? Of course it's real. Of course, you think all these people are silly and that it's delusional, or that we're in this collective illusion or delusional state? No, not so much that, but just step back for a moment and ask yourself, wow, I was led through a dramatic series of imageries, caught up, distressed when they lost, distressed when they were losing or behind in a game, and then excited when they won. But I really still don't know whether there was an actual referent. Jean Baudrillard, a famous French philosopher, was critiqued after the first Iraqi war that the United States engaged in, and he suggested that there really isn't a war. And it got everybody all in fury. And his point was that we live in a world of hyperrealism that's created through imagery, where we almost don't even know the referent anymore. We're receiving our notion of reality through a box, through an image. So, and with more and more of us living indoors and not outdoors, and fewer people actually in contact with the actual referent of life, what's happening is that the drama of imagery is becoming more and more a part of our consciousness. Again, step back for a second. Step back and ask yourself, what is real? Is life merely sort of these glossy type of images that we just keep receiving, and as a result just keep formulating a larger part of our reality? I don't know. To me it seems like, including myself, I get caught up in developing a consciousness of imagery as opposed to a consciousness of referent. That's part of why I love coming out here to the wide open space, is because so few things are actually being represented to me. It's like I'm really close to the referent. I'm living close to the referent. And I think, in the end, when I think of wellness, when I think of psychic balance, when I think of leading a less dramatic life, there's not a lot of drama here. It just is what it is. But in the world of imagery, what happens is we can create this illusion of a referent where all of a sudden the image becomes the reality. There is no referent anymore. And so in the spirit of Jean Baudrillard, in the spirit of postmodernists who actually study the relationship between imagery and referent, representation of the world, and the notion of what is real, and actually asking ourselves this question, I present the question, were the Giants really in the World Series? For a guy who didn't attend physically the stadium, who didn't watch the game live in person, and who actually watched the parade. I was on my way to Nevada and I caught a TV on the way up at a restaurant, and there was a parade. There was a replay of the parade downtown San Francisco. I realized that, I was like, wow, I think that was sort of the culminating moment for me. It's like, is the parade even real? I'm not even there. And yes, this is not a threat to the world of imagery, in as much as it's about creating a type of space so that we're honest with the reference and understand the potential for being close to authenticity, and just raising questions of the modern age that has us living less and less a referential life, living less and less closer, or I should say, we live less close to the source, or further and further away from the source. So, go Giants. Yes, I'm guilty of whistling around the house and whistling around my neighborhood. And I'm still doing it, even after they won. At least on TV they won. All right, thank you, everybody. Hope all is well.